In studio is Eryn Balch. She's completely bored by this conversation. And good morning, Eryn.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. You're from the Kelberman Center,
Yes.
and April is the month we're in right now.
It is.
Hard to believe, is Autism Awareness Month, right?
Absolutely.
So what does that mean?
So autism is the fastest growing developmental disability in the country today, actually, with 1 in 59 children diagnosed as being on the autism spectrum. So I'm not sure when it started, but April for decades now has been World Autism Awareness Month. At the Kelberman Center, we like to think we're moving past the awareness stage and now more into the acceptance stage.
Do you? Why is it that it seems to be increasing? And is it increasing, or are we just more aware today?
I think it's a combination of those things. I think awareness is definitely helping people seek out diagnosis earlier. They have also changed the criteria for diagnosis to be more effective and address the range of the spectrum.
Well, there's a woman on Facebook that drives me nuts. That says the increase is because her kid got the measles shot.
Oh, that's bunk.
Yeah. So you agree that that's bunk?
Yes.
So from
there is actually another study very recently that debunked the vaccines cause autism.
Why is it that we're in a current place in America and maybe in the world where if you go through 11 years of college to become a super scientist, that we would rather trust some lady who didn't finish her associate's degree on Facebook than we would the scientist? That's where we are today.
That's an unfortunate...
It is unfortunate.
That's an unfortunate byproduct of the world of social media and access to information from self-proclaimed experts.
It is self-proclaimed experts. Be careful with that, because that's you've described talk show hosts.
Sorry.
Okay, so let's talk about. You have a lot of events, including walks that are going on in the area.
Yes, we're in the 12th year of celebrating walks all across Central New York. This is our big fundraiser every year, and we have walks now in 5 locations. Our first one is coming up this Saturday out in Boonville at the Boonville VFW. Okay. All of the events, registration opens at 9 a.m. There's tons of activities for kids and families. Lots of raffles and extra fundraisers once you get there. So Boonville this Saturday. The following Saturday, April 13th, we're going to be out at Hamilton College. We could take Easter weekend off, and then on the 27th, we will be in both Cooperstown and in Oneida. Okay. And then our biggest event that has the majority of the attendees through the season is going to be on Saturday, May 4th. So we're really hoping for good warm weather over at SUNY Poly.
Yeah. As long as we're talking awareness, what is autism? And there's I'm assuming there's a spectrum. So there is maybe someone who is less severe than someone else. What are the warning signs? Just fill us in a little.
Yes.
If we're going to celebrate Awareness Month, we should be aware.
So autism is it's a developmental disability. It's a neurological condition that affects primarily communication, social interactions, and behavior. So those are 3, kind of soft areas of measuring people's aptitude at different things. And it certainly is a spectrum. We have about 1/3 of people with autism are nonverbal, but that means 2/3 are verbal.
Right.
And, the primary thing is there's a lot of sensory issues. A lot of people with autism have sensory issues, so loud noises, lights, the smells, all those kind of things distract them. Their brain can't filter out all that stimulus. And so they're often distracted from that, and sometimes the way that appears to other people is with odd behaviors or, what we would call negative behaviors. So at the Kelberman Center, we have a preschool because early intervention is very, very important. We focus on teaching kids to be able to communicate first and foremost, because if you can't communicate your needs, you can't get to the next step of getting help. We also have a clinic that does evaluations and diagnosis, and we also do both individual and family counseling. So we really help people be able to learn how to play to their strengths instead of having, to deal with the negative.
Would severity be considered low on the spectrum versus high on the spectrum?
So I mean, a low, sometimes referred to as low functioning, might be someone who is nonverbal, who really can't communicate very well at all. High functioning would be They used to call it Asperger Syndrome.
Okay.
That has gone away as
Oh,
the
I didn't
scale
know that.
has changed to a spectrum scale. That term has gone away, but it's very well known at this point. And they say people, like Einstein, were very likely would have been high functioning autism, that kind of thing. So you get people that are really, really intelligent and have savant-like abilities on certain subjects, but can't tie their shoes.
Yeah. Okay.
So everything in between.
So I do have a question here. I'm going to hit you with a couple stats that kind of, it says autism affects all ethnic and socioeconomic groups, but shockingly, it affects 1 in 151 girls, but 1 in 37 boys. It's much more prevalent in boys. Do we know why?
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly why. Boys are 5 times more likely to be diagnosed than girls, but it is a myth that only boys have autism, for sure. But we do see boys are diagnosed much more frequently. I've read some books on the subject over the years that suggest that girls maybe are better at masking some of the behaviors. They're better at mimicking and copying and acting the way people expect them to act than some boys are. So it could be a combination of diagnosis, or it could just be genetics.
And we don't know. We don't have a cause, right?
We don't know what causes it.
It's just alarming. Like, you go back 10 years, and it was 1 in every 140, and then it's 1 in every 100, and then it's 1 in every 80, and as you said, now it's 1 in every
1 in 59. Yeah.
I mean, that's.
I think it is definitely a combination of better diagnosis. There's definitely a genetic component, and there may be environmental factors as well, and we just haven't nailed it down yet.
And I also, I'll leave it at this last question, but depending on where they are on the spectrum, so it might be someone who's very severe, also might be somebody that isn't so severe. I think years ago we just didn't do anything. It's like, well, there was something not right there. And that's how it was described, so we look at it differently today. And part of this is about how well someone performs outside school. So whether you're graduating high school, you don't go any further, maybe you go to college. But it's your performance level after that, what you do in your life, whether it is family, whether it's with a job and career. Talk a little bit about that and the help that's out there for those people. Yeah.
So actually, you've hit the nail on the head, what we call the cliff. There's a lot of really great supports that are available through schools and with outside consultants like the Kelberman Center that can go into schools.
Then you're out.
These days.
Then you get out of school.
Yeah. So today, there are 50,000 kids every year in the United States that will age out of school-based supports. And what happens to these kids?
Now you have struggling adults.
Yeah. And so some of the things that we're working on are we have a pre-vocation program. We help with job skills. We help with interviewing. We help with real work experience. The awareness part really comes in letting employers know that if they are able to make some minor, very minor often accommodations, somebody might never really do well in an in-person interview for a job, but they could be somebody that is an excellent employee. They're very dependable. They're very loyal. They're on time. They're really visual thinkers. We're finding that, there's a lot of people with autism that do really well in technology, computer skills, coding, very detail-oriented work that requires a lot of focus. And, if employers and others can, like I said, make some minor accommodations on the front end to overcome some of the social aspects that might not be what we expect, you can find out that you've got a great fit for a certain role within a company. So.
All right, so it's April is Autism Awareness Month. Website they go to?
Kelbermancenter.org.
Okay.
And we have a walk page for all the information on all the events.
All right, Eryn, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Hopefully we made people a little more aware today.
Absolutely.
I feel like I'm a little more aware.